Hey guys, I'm Naya and welcome back to the channel. So before we get started today, I wanted to bring your attention to the Sleeves Chief website. They restocked a bunch of their sleeves and they have new products and just overall really cool extra deck, main deck sleeves, deck boxes, whatever you want. But as for the restock, it was for the sleeves, and they also have new merch when it comes to those t-shirts. And just make sure, if you're looking for any accessories, to use my affiliate link in the description box below. You are directly supporting me and the channel that way, and you can also use my code SHADOW at checkout for 5% off your entire order. So currently it's 6 a.m. I just finished watching WrestleMania. I'm so overwhelmed because of that, but another thing that concluded, two events actually, was the 250th YCS in Colombia and Los Angeles. So of course we need to cover this, and then after that I'm going to sleep. But first, let's talk about the events. Starting off with the Colombian YCS, it actually had some kind of coverage, a tiny bit of coverage, but you know, it's better than what we had before, which was nothing, so that's great, and it's a step in the right direction. It was won by Kashtira, which is not much of a surprise, although we did see it go up against a Runic Naturia deck in the finals, so we almost saw a Runic Naturia YCS win. Not quite, but maybe next time. I think Kashtira is like a pretty obvious choice if you were to say like which deck would win at least one of these YCSs. It's very consistent and strong right now, even though a lot of decks feel like they're almost on the same power level. And yeah, it just counters a lot of the format, has enough space to play the tech cards, and like it's just the go-to choice for a lot of people. So it makes a lot of sense. And then moving on to the Los Angeles YCS, it also had a very high representation. And first I wanted to go over a couple interesting matches that we saw on stream. It was literally like a lot of different decks. Like I keep saying, we're in a very diverse format, although we did see a couple recurring themes when it comes to, for example, Sprite seeing play with a ton of different engines, Runic see play in a ton of different decks with other archetypes. And then here we can see the Scareclaw deck versus the Punk Gold Pride deck, Dark World Danger versus Methmec, there's Sky Striker versus Runic Naturia, like Sky Striker winning on stream, still in 2023, it's just really cool. Tier Limits even, then a more regular match for right now, Sprite versus Kashtira, Naturia Runic versus Methmec, Dinosaur Scrap versus Sprite Ninja. Like, it's just really cool seeing, you know, Trap Tricks, all of these decks. You can for sure play almost whatever you want. You just really need to adjust to the meta with your tech cards if you're trying to play at a very competitive level. And from the standpoint of watching, it's really cool seeing an event with a lot of different decks. However, from the standpoint of playing, it's really hard to prepare for, and this event and the other ones just go to show that it's just an insane format. Like, you literally cannot prepare for every single deck. And that feels a bit discouraging at times. So for all of the players that did well at the 250th YCSs, because it goes to show how their deck building and skillful play in a lot of scenarios managed to grant them good results. So yeah, with that, we can actually move on to the representation. Like I mentioned, it's very diverse. And here you can see by the top 32 pie chart, quite a few different decks. Compared to the last format, and top 16 we see even more decks. But I quickly wanted to stop here and mention that even though it's quite diverse and I just hyped up the diversity and all of that, I still have a bit of an issue seeing how more than half of the top deck representation is only one deck, which is Kashtira, and comparing its power level and its level of skillful gameplay you need to have to really pilot the deck well, compare that to the last format. I don't know, it's just a little sad to see that kind of deck do as well, almost as well as Tier did in the last format, even though there's a lot of differences between it. And I get that right now maybe you don't need as much skillful gameplay to run a deck like this as you need like smart thought process behind tech cards and all of that. You know, formats are different, and they're not every single format is going to be for everybody. So as much as the diversity is interesting, it also has its downside. And the top deck is you know, quite expensive. You need to invest a lot of money to play it and then win with it, which is kind of like just annoying to have in a format. But that's just my personal opinion. I maybe went off on a tangent a bit, and please share your thoughts in the comments down below. But moving on to the top 16 breakdown, there's a lot of different decks. Son of Alonrica, Naturia, Mathmex, Sprite, and Flunder, each at only one slot. in the top 16, but that's still great. That's a lot of diversity, and it's just amazing to see. Pretty much comparing it to the European YCS, it's almost the same in terms of like different decks, but there's no branded here. only Flunder, which isn't in the top chart of the European YCS. So other than that, pretty much the same decks were able to do well. So the meta is sort of establishing itself much more than it was about a week back. But still, there is a very high Kashtira representation, especially in Top Cut. Like, even more Kashtira players take up the slots, just like it happened in Europe. So that's really interesting to see. And another fun fact before we move on to the eventual winner, Tombox from MST TV commentated the event. It's just, you know, props to him for doing an amazing job, and it's really, really cool seeing. So I wanted to mention this as well when it comes to this YCS. But now moving on to the top decks. So moving on to top 8 and top 4. In top 8, we had 50% Kashtira, and then the other 4 decks were Naturia Runic, Sanavalon Rika, Tri-Brigade Sprite, and also Flunder. Tri-Brigade Sprite and Rika managed to make it only to top 8, and then Naturia Runic and Flunder fought it out in the semi-finals, and Naturia Runic ended up coming to the finals together with Kashtira, and then Naturia Runic made it to the finals. I really like seeing Tri-Brigade Sprite do well. I love seeing the deck play. I enjoyed the match in Swiss that featured Tri-Brigade Sprite. Rika, like I mentioned, is a really, really cool deck, and Naturia Runic, I like a lot. I really enjoy seeing Naturia Runic play as well. And yeah, just Flunder. It's just so amazing and funny seeing Flunder do so well right now. It's one of those decks that people started to not consider as much, but that is really, really decent showing for the deck. And as for the finals, Kashtira versus Runic Naturia. Naturia as an archetype that received support and is able to do well. Runic, such a powerful engine to pair together with it and really deplete the resources from the opponent and amass resources yourself. It's really impressive seeing it get second place. Kashtira ended up winning, just like it happened in the Colombia YCS. So 2 YCSs were won by Kashtira and 1 was won by Sprite. And pretty much we saw it coming. I think Sprite and Kashtira were among the top represented decks and the decks that people were afraid of and were preparing for. Yeah, you know, this was the YCS weekend I really, really enjoyed because it was also Mania weekend. So it was just a great couple of days all together, and I hope you guys enjoyed my coverage. I tried to make these as soon as I can for you guys, and yeah, hopefully you like them. So if you did, please make sure to like it, and also in the comments let me know if you went to any of the YCSs and how you did and what your experience was, or if you watched from home, if you liked the stream and all of the decks that were featured. And make sure to sub to the channel as well, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.